All he wants for Christmas is to spend it with his family, but fate has put some obstacles in Clint Barton's path. Will our favorite Archer and his temporary companion Kate Bishop solve their problems in time? Or will he miss his family Christmas completely? Hi there, it's Micha. Find out more about Hawkeye's first solo outing in this review video for the first 2 episodes. Another Marvel show, so here we go again. However, I decided to cover shows like these a little bit different going forward. Instead of 1 video per episode, we will cover the pilot, or in this case, the first 2 episodes as Disney Plus dropped them at the same day, in 1 video and then do another one after the last episode. In the first one, we will let you know how we rated the kickoff, highlight some of Neal's Easter eggs and share our predictions on how we think the show may play out. In the second video, we will review the show as a whole, share Easter eggs from the entire show, if they are still relevant, and check out how far off our predictions turned out to be. This principle I plan to apply to special shows like those from the Marvel and Star Wars franchise in the future. This should take away a lot of the pressure I had in the past of creating weekly reviews, while it will also allow for a longer shelf life of those videos, as viewers can still watch them even after the show is completed. You heard me saying we a lot as I'm teaming up once more with my friend Neal, who provided music and factoids in the past for many shows we covered on a weekly basis. He provided the music you're hearing right now. Thanks mate. As well as other input. I also included some thoughts from Angie, my sister, who worked with me on the Serious Talk videos around Loki's show on Disney Plus earlier this year. Now that this has been said, let's jump into the synopsis. Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, is spending time in New York with his kids, with a plan to have peaceful and relaxing family time, home for Christmas, soon thereafter. But as this would make for a boring Marvel show, I think. Of course, some problems arise. One of his greatest fans, Kate Bishop, who witnessed Clint's heroics as a kid while New York was attacked in the original Avengers movie, has since become an achieved martial artist and maybe the world's best archer.
Some people have actually called me the world's greatest archer.
Are you one of those people?
At least in her own words and mind. After stumbling by accident into a secret black market auction, which is soon attacked by masked thieves looking for a watch, Kate got hold of Clint's Ronin costume, the get-up he wore when the snap had killed his entire family, at a time so dark that he turned into a violent and murderous vigilante. Not knowing the outfit's history, she wears it to protect the people at the auction.
When I wore this suit, I made a whole lot of enemies.
Unsurprisingly, Barton's stint as Ronin created many enemies who are now starting to hunt down Kate, thinking she is the original Ronin, who returned to the city. The Tracksuit Mafia is one of those enemies, and an attack of them almost costs Kate's life. This is when Clint intervened.
You're Hawkeye!
Who the hell are you?
In another attack, she loses her home, which went up in flames, and in which the Ronin costume was taken by one of the firemen. Determined to get his outfit back for whatever reason, Clint sends his kids home and follows the trace of the clothes to a LARP sword fighting event, where he retrieves the suit while Kate has to deal with her mother's new lover and soon-to-be husband, who may or may not have just killed his rich uncle for the inheritance. The second episode ends with Barton being taken in by the Tracksuit Mafia, likely to broker peace on Kate's behalf, as the gang knows her name, while getting help from Kate, who just clumsily drops down from the rafters to no effect.
Didn't realize you were supposed to bring guns.
Which lands them both tied up in their captor's grip, and with their fate in the open. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes, even if there was no big spectacle on screen yet. Some nice action here and there, but mostly character development and exposition, which I do appreciate in these Marvel shows, especially around characters we are familiar with. So we get reacquainted with Clint while sitting in a Broadway musical about Captain America called Rogers the Musical, where the fight in New York was recreated. He obviously and understandably is still haunted by Natasha's death, a wound scratched by the musical's metaphorical finger. We also see that he now has to wear a hearing aid, The second episode shows a quick collection of clips in which he gets hurt a lot in different situations, often accompanied by explosions, which is supposed to explain the need, though no specific incident is given as the main factor. Easter egg. In the comics there is a major storyline around him deafening himself to avoid the mind control of one supervillain. And a few moments later his hearing aid is introduced to basically bring it all back to normal. More storylines includes his aid until Franklin Richards, son of Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four, restored his hearing by warping reality. The show starts with a flashback to 2012's attack at New York, in which Kate loses her father. She witnesses Hawkeye fighting the aliens, which inspires her to train to be a protector, just like he is. This scene really drove home the point that we often forget. Hawkeye might not be much if compared to the Hulk, Thor, or any superhero with real powers, but this is exactly what makes him one of the strongest of them all, because he is a hero even though he is not blessed with powers. He is just a person who has to fight even harder to keep pace. His hearing aid now even underlines this fact. After seeing that he also was underused in previous movies, like being under mind control for most of the original Avengers runtime, which didn't help his standing within the MCU,
Mommy, a superhero! Come on, kid! You need tourists!
it is nice to finally have him front and center in his own show, though he has to share the limelight with another Archer. We basically meet Kate on the verge of becoming the hero she trained to be, apparently venturing out to help people for the first time. Along the way she also adopts a dog with only one eye, who helped her out a little bit. Easter egg. The dog that Kate takes in is called Lucky the pizza dog in the comics. There he also has only one eye when Clint finds him, while carrying the name tag Arrow. He becomes the family dog, but Barton renames him Lucky. The dog regarded himself as being called Pizza Dog though, as is revealed in a comic special. Back to Kate. She also challenges her mother's fiancé, Jacques Duquesne, to a fencing match, which she seemingly lets her win. Though she even earned championship titles in this discipline, she feels he is more skilled than her and hides something. Nice dynamic going on here. Easter egg. In the comics, the character Jacques Duquesne is known as Swordsman, a skilled fighter with an arsenal of trick blades up his sleeves, similar to Barton's trick arrows. In some storylines, he is fighting with the heroes, while mostly he is fighting on the other side. In this show, he definitely has something to hide. All in all, I don't expect many big surprises in this show, but some great fan service and nice setups for other storylines and shows. I see solid potential and so far felt properly entertained, with both episodes being the same rating vicinity. So they both get 7 out of 10 points from me. I'm curious if that rating will be higher or lower once I will score the show as a whole. Let's have a quick look at how the others have rated the show's kickoff. Neal also really liked the first 2 episodes and expects this to be one of the better Marvel series. It's fun and has a lighter tone than the other Marvel series to date, making it feel like a breath of fresh air. He thinks the show will end up scoring an 8 overall, with his rating for the first 2 episodes being 7.5. Angie, on the other hand, scored the first episodes even higher at 7.5 or even 8 already. This is mainly because she enjoys having a female hero again, which gets more normalized recently, but still is more the exception of the rule. So between the 3 of us, it is a 7.5 out of 10. Let's check out an Easter egg Neal sent over. The deaf mafia boss showing up in the end is credited as being Maya Lopez, aka Echo, a superhero able to mimic other people's movements exactly. I'm curious how this will play out, as I thought she would be a good guy, with even having her own show being announced already. In the comics, she debuted as Ronin, after feeling unworthy of joining the new Avengers because of her criminal past. Oh, interesting, so she did start out as a criminal there as well. After fighting with and against the Avengers, she eventually hands over the Ronin identity to Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye. Maya Lopez is also the adopted daughter of Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin in the comics. Here's one quick observation I would like to share. It is also worth mentioning that this is the first property in the MCU that seems to have made a time jump after the blip. Clint was active as Ronin right before half of the population was brought back, and a newscaster now says he hasn't been seen for years. 2 years according to some sources. This would place the action in this show in 2025. It will be interesting to see how this fits into the overall timeline. Usually Marvel has no show or movie happening in the future, just to return to the present time, which was around 2023 in everything we saw in Phase 4 so far. So I am curious to see if the upcoming Spider-Man and Doctor Strange will also take place years after the blip. It seems unlikely though, as WandaVision played directly after the blip and at the end Wanda starts looking for her kids. I guess this storyline will directly and without much time lost in between be continued in Doctor Strange. We will find out soon. Maybe this is just a leftover from the impact of the COVID pandemic, which resulted in a changed release schedule for almost every Marvel property. Okay, let's dive into our predictions. What do we think will happen over the course of the show? All three of us are sure that Echo will end up being Ronan, so the other way around as in the comics, but still very close to them. We also are sure that at the end, Kate will take on the moniker of Hawkeye, allowing our hero to retire and settle down with his family, at least for a while. My prediction is that Jack, the swordsman, being a villain is just a red herring. I expect him to turn out to be one of the good guys, maybe even ending up being a mentor for Kate, so that Clint really can retire, as otherwise I guess Barton would have to take Kate home to properly train her there. Neal also agrees with that prediction. Angie is unsure about Jack's arc, but she worries that Kate's father might have killed himself to maybe get insurance money to get out of the financial crisis. Neal has some other thoughts on that. At the start of the episode, we discover that Kate's parents, Derek and Eleanor, are struggling with money and need to sell their penthouse. Eleanor implies that Derek grew up rich, suggesting that she had a harder upbringing. Neal thinks she may have a darker or unknown past that has yet to be shared in the series, because Eleanor appears to be wealthier now than she was while Derek was still alive, suggesting that she was able to miraculously get out of debt. So maybe Angie was right about the insurance, but the father was not going willingly. Eleanor also skillfully catapults some food from the kitchen table into her mouth. While this may be viewed as a party trick, Neal thinks that she may have some combat skills that we have yet to discover. It also reminded him of how Kate catapults a wine bottle with her foot later when fighting the Tracksuit Mafia. Neal mentions that he generally thinks that when you don't see a character die, that they are either still alive, or we do not know the truth about how they died yet. As we didn't see Kate's father die, nor hear anything about how he died later, Neal thinks there is more to that story that we will discover later in the series. Like Kate's mother killing him just before the Battle of New York began? There it is. And this fits in well with my theory that Jack is a good guy. And now that I think of it, it was Eleanor who threatened Jack's uncle. So likely she killed him, not Jack? And there was this moment where the uncle, while talking to Kate, mentioned that her mom, though rich, likely richer than Jack at that point, is not really the catch people may think. This also implies a darker background for Kate's mom. Nice one, Neal. Regarding Echo, Neal is also considering that she already knows Clint and she actually was the first Ronin, aligning with the comics. Interesting idea. This would explain why Hawkeye is so confident that the Tracksuit Mafia is no danger to him. Though he fights them and they chase who they think is Ronin, but that might have just been because she botched their heist. We will see. Since Maya Lopez, aka Echo, is the adopted daughter of Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, Neal believes this may suggest that he could be the main villain for the series, or may make a brief appearance at some stage. Also interesting, this would fit in with rumors that the cast of the Netflix TV shows may return to the MCU. Paul, another friend, mentioned to me that Daredevil, in his lawyer persona, is rumored to appear in Spider-Man as his attorney. I don't think that Kingpin will be the big bad in Hawkeye, but maybe a cameo of Vincent D'Onofrio may happen. Neal also mentioned that in the show someone said that Tony Stark sold the Avengers Tower sometime in the past, believing the buyer to be either Kingpin, or maybe it became, or will become, the Baxter Building from the Fantastic Four along the line. Neal's last prediction is about the Bulgari watch the thieves at the auction tried to steal. He thinks that this could be Tony Stark's watch. It is clearly a luxury watch and has a tag that clearly states it is from the compound. Wow, I didn't even see that. Nice attention there, Neal. Neal predicts it may have more value than money and gives access to the Avengers compound or some Stark tech. Brilliant, dude. That would be a perfect setup and segue into another upcoming show, Armor Wars, about stolen tech that falls into the wrong hands. Okay, let's close with some more of my predictions. Remembering the sequence after the end credits of Black Widow, where Natasha's sister, Yelena, is pointed by Contessa Valentina into Clint's direction, telling her that he killed Black Widow, she will for sure be appearing in this show. I guess they will fight for a while before teaming up against the real villain, whoever this may be. Still hoping they open a door to bring Natasha back somehow, as there is a confirmation that Scarlett Johansson is again working with Marvel, though they say it is not about Black Widow. I still expect that to happen sometime. Maybe she is just reborn as White Widow or whatever, as Yelena will take over the mantle of Black Widow, deceiving us into believing Natasha is gone for good. Technically, an approach like that would not turn the official statement into a lie. I don't expect that will happen now though, but maybe the seed will be planted. I also think that Clint and Echo will bond over their common hearing disability, paving the way for her to quickly come over to the hero side. The show will introduce her and Kate as new female heroes, with the underlying theme being to bring in more and more female heroes. With Thor's mantle also likely being handed over and some strong woman character already being in place, I believe this to be the build-up to an all-female Avengers movie, mirroring some comic storylines, which would be really cool. One last thing, I could also imagine Black Knight showing up, or at least being mentioned, as Swordsman is so much into swords, and they are already prominently displayed throughout the first 2 episodes, that the other recently introduced swords aficionado, played by Kit Harington in The Eternals, immediately came to my mind. Might be just a coincidence though. Or is it? Well, that's it. Let us know what you think about those theories in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this video, like it and feel free to share it with your friends. And why not subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any future video. Make sure to also hit the notification bell to get a heads up whenever a new video is posted. So much for now, see you next time and thanks for watching!